Hello friends, this is Vinod here, and in this session we are going to talk about comparator interface in Java collections. So in our previous video, we talked about comparable interface and how it works with sorting of elements in collections. And here in this video, we will continue with the same example and understand how comparator interface is going to help us in performance sorting. Let's get started. As we already know, both comparable and comparator interface are used to sort elements in a collection object. But here, the comparator interface belongs to java.util package, and the important difference between a comparator interface and a comparable interface is a comparator interface, the logics of comparison is written in a separate Pojo class, which means I can have multiple comparison logic written for same Pojo class. I can compare based on age, I can compare based on ID. So based on every attribute in a Pojo class, I can perform the comparison, and the comparison logic can be kept separately in a separate class. So whichever comparison logic I want, I can make use of it to perform the comparison, which makes comparator interface more powerful when we want to use multiple sorting algorithms for same Pojo class. Let's take a look at a demo. I'm going to take the example which we used in our previous video, where we use a class called as customer, which implements comparable interface, and we apply generics on top of it to indicate this interface can accept only object of type customer, and we had a method called as compare. I'm going to improvise this code to make it work for a comparator interface. First step, I need to write a new class because, as I said, the comparison logics are going to be separated from my Pojo classes. First thing I have to do is I'll open Notepad. Let me write a class here called as id compare, and this class will implement an interface called as comparator. Let us also import java.util package. So two things. One is I'm going to make this comparator accept only object of type customer to sort elements. So I will apply generics here to indicate the comparator interface can sort customer object. And the second thing is I have written a method here called as compare, which is an overridden method of comparator interface. And this method takes two arguments of type customer. So inside this, I have written a code which will compare the objects and perform sorting for us. So if c1.get customer ID greater than c2.get customer ID, return 1. So we already know what is 1 minus 1 and 0 means. 1 minus 1 and 0 indicates that positive means first number is bigger than second number. Negative means first number is lesser than second number. And 0 means both are equal. So we already discussed the same thing in our previous video. So I'm not discussing much about this here. Let's move to our code here. Let me save this code. I'll save it as idcompare.java, and I'll put it in desktop. Similarly, I also want another class which will compare based on customer age. So let me write another class. Here we go. Let me save this code. I'll save it as agecompare.java. So now I have to make some changes to my previous code. I have to remove this implements comparable customer from here because I'm no more using it. And again, I have to remove this from here because again, I'm no more using it. So my customer class becomes so simple now. It's not complicated. It has become so simple, and the comparison logic has been separated from customer class for better maintainability of code. So let's now move to our main function here. And here I'm going to add the object of id compare, id equal to new id compare, and I can also create an object of age compare. So these two are objects of this particular class, age compare, which implements comparator interface, and it has a comparison logic based on age. Similarly, you have id compare, which is again a class which implements comparator interface, which has the comparison logic which compares based on customer ID. I'm creating object of these two classes on top of our previous code. And additionally here I have to mention based on what I want to sort this collection. So let me give ID here. Let us save this code and let me compile and run it. Good. As you can see the output here, 100, 101, 102, 115. So it is sorted based on ID. Okay, if I want age, all I need to do is change this ID into an object of type age compare. So again, it has a comparison logic for customer based on age. So let's compile and check it now. Yes, so it is 20, 24, 26, and 32. It is sorted. And again, as you guys already know, that if I have to sort in reverse order, all I need to do is change this 1 to -1 and -1 to 1 and save this code. This is ID compare. Do the same in age compare as well. Save it and let us compile it and run the code. Now you can see it is sorted based on age, but it is 32, 26, 24, and 20. So this is how a comparator interface works. And you can understand the difference. A comparable interface, the comparison logic is written inside the same customer class, and only one comparison logic can be written for a customer class. Whereas here, I can separate the comparison logic and I can have multiple comparison logic for the same customer class based on ID, based on age, and use the same to perform sorting. One more quick thing I would like to add here is if I'm using a tree set, in that case, I have to pass the ID to this, and this is not required because for array list is where we have to use the sort method, not for tree set. For tree set, you have to pass the sorting algorithm to the object of tree set because while adding itself, the sorting takes place. Whereas in an array list, after you adding, you sort the elements. So now let's check the output. I will run it. Here we go. And you can see 115, 102, 101, 100 because I've given ID here. So if I want age, I can give age and again check the out 32, 26, 24, and 20. So this is how a comparator interface works. So based on our scenarios, based on the requirements, we can either use comparable interface or comparator interface. It is completely based on the need of the application, right? That's about comparable and comparator interface. Thanks for watching the session. In our next video, I will talk about the difference between comparable and comparator interface in a short way.